Blog Talk Radio.
Sports Talk Show. Your host is here for the show tonight to interview our special guest. Show highlight the Allen Alford Sports Talk Show. The Allen Alford Sports Talk Show. Football, basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, boxing, tennis, golf, and racing. The Allen Alford Sports Talk Show. The Allen Alford Sports Talk Show. Tune in for all the news and scores, reporting on the games and so much more. The Allen Alford Sports Talk Show. The Allen Alford Sports Talk Show. The Allen Alford Sports Talk Show. The Allen Alford Sports Talk Show.
Welcome everybody to another great episode of the Allen Alford Sports Talk Show. I'm Alan, so delighted to have you join us with us this evening. Really special night we have going for you tonight. A lot of great things to report. And then tonight we're going to go ahead and make sure that we go ahead and give you a fantastic show. You have the honor and pleasure of joining me at any point by just calling in 516-418-5572. Again, that's 516-418-5572. Really appreciate you joining us this evening, and definitely want to thank our wonderful sponsor, Chef G's Florida Barbecue Sauce. So delicious and addicting, you may need a support group. Really appreciate Chef G's. Try out any one of the 4 great flavors: honey mustard, heat wave, fusion, and classic. And if you're feeling real ambitious, you can actually meet the legend himself, Chef G's, right there at 301 South 22nd Street, Tampa, Florida. Let him know that we sent him here from the Allen Alford Sports Talk Show. Again, that's 301 South 22nd Street. Or if you cannot visit, feel free to pick up any one of the 4 great flavors: bbqsauce.com, flbbqsauce.com. The intro song was made exclusively for us by Sam Scola right there in Maine, and his beautiful wife, Mary. Really appreciate Sam Scola. So we're going to go ahead and play the Chef G's Florida Barbecue Sauce song. We're going to be right back with you. A lot of great things to come on this show. So let me go ahead and play the Chef G's Florida Barbecue Sauce song.
Comes in for variety, Chef G's Florida Barbecue Sauce, a natural flavor. Chef G's Florida Barbecue Sauce, Florida Gold Honey Mustard on burgers and ribs, tasty fusion on pork and sausage, a classic taste for chicken steak tips, a hot heat wave on meatballs and ham. It's a cookout treat. Chef G's Florida Barbecue Sauce, serve on fish and vegetables. Chef G's Florida Barbecue Sauce, Chef G's Florida Barbecue Sauce, Chef G's Florida Barbecue Sauce.
G's Florida barbecue sauce. So delicious and addicting, you may need a support group. Again, that's FLBBQSauce.com, FLBBQSauce.com. We're going to get the show started in a few moments, but definitely we want to begin by paying our respects to the late, great coach Bobby Knight, who unfortunately passed this week. Definitely, some people didn't like some of the antics, but no one could definitely question his desire and his passion to coach young men how to play the sport of basketball in the proper way and technical way to perform the sport correctly. Definitely very passionate man. He's going to be missed by a lot of people. So we're going to go ahead and pay our respects by giving a moment of silence for Coach Bobby Knight, who has passed this week. We definitely wish him, family, friends, all those who have been affected, our greatest sympathy here on the Alan Alfred Sports Talk Show. So we're going to give honor to Coach Bobby Knight by giving him a moment of silence. May Coach Bobby Knight rest in peace. So we're going to go ahead and brighten up the show and bring on a great caller. It's always a great support of our show. Let me go ahead and do that right now. Hey, how you doing, Lou?
Okay, I'm doing good. Yeah, it's a shame what happened, unexpectedly with Bobby Knight. I mean, even though rather a controversial figure, though, but he knew how to how to win. Definitely for sure.
Yes, you're right. I mean, definitely very controversial. You're absolutely right about that. But yeah, he knew how to win, and he definitely knew how to coach. He knew his stuff. He knew his stuff. I mean, it didn't come over well sometimes. I definitely agree with that. There was some antics
no, I don't condone that, because I don't condone physical violence.
Right. I agree with you. I don't condone physical violence. I don't condone threatening, intimidation. I mean, he definitely crossed the line quite a few times, with the chair, almost headbutting the player. Or, that's, I understand you're passionate, but one of the things about being a person who's passionate, you have to learn how to control your passion. You have to know when enough's enough. But you're right. He was a great coach, and he knew the game of basketball. And there is a lot of technical attributes that go into basketball. Like some people say that basketball has no skill really involved. It's just about height. But there is some techniques and skill that you need to have. Yeah, there is form, there is technique, especially when you're playing against somebody who does know a lot about skill and dribbling, technique. If you just have height and maybe some athletic ability, you won't make it as far against somebody who has all of those and knows fundamentals. But yeah, it was definitely tough to read that news. And yeah, I mean, sometimes that's what I like about people is that they'll take somebody who is controversial, who maybe does some things that most of us may not do, and they make him or she into a bad person. And I don't think that's fair.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely Coach Bobby Knight will be missed. But I definitely wanted to get your take, Lou, on the World Series and the results. What did you think?
The World Series was, of course, not what we expected. I mean, you had, well, I'll put it this way, Texas, I think they had more of a realistic chance in saying, Arizona. I mean, nobody expected a team that, there's 19 gazillion games below the Dodgers and come away with this. But they managed to pull it out. They managed to beat Philadelphia. I got to give it credit, but I think Texas was a little bit too strong. Even without, say, Garcia, I think it was a strong hitter. I call him the new Mr. October, and Mad Max Scherzer, who of course is the dominant pitcher. So I was thinking, what's going to happen with your two best pitchers out, two best players out. Excuse me. But it turns out they didn't need them. I mean, because they had enough offense to get the runs and enough defense to stop, D-back from scoring, with the exception of, of course, Game 4.
Yeah, I mean, definitely they just,
Well,
you're right.
Game 2 as well. Game 2, they pounded us. I said 5 games to begin with, but it was 5 games in the wrong order. I thought maybe that, the D-backs should take one game on their own turf, but they took one on the Rangers' turf. So, but other than that, I was correct.
Yeah, I definitely think that game that they gave away was a turning point in the series. That to me was a turning point, and the fact that they could not keep the Texas Rangers in the ballpark. They couldn't keep them in the ballpark. They were just hitting too good.
Game 1 was a big surprise, too. I mean, tying up at the bottom of the 9th, and then Garcia with a home run at the bottom of the 11th for 1 out. Like, wow. I mean, that was a stunner right there.
Yeah, that was a turning point. I felt as if that was a game. You have to close out that game. You're up by 2 runs, so you have an insurance run in the 9th inning. You got to close the deal. And I felt like them not closing the deal, I didn't think the series was completely over, but I felt like this could be a turning point in this series. I mean, because
are we still playing Game 5 right now? No, the game was over. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Game 5 was going to be an endless pitcher's duel. I mean, I thought it'd be winning the next morning, and then it goes from nothing to 7 to 5-0. I mean, a turnaround just like that.
Yeah, I mean, they just you got to give Texas Rangers credit. They only had the one game that they kind of struggled with the bats. Outside of that, their bats were on fire. Their bats were completely on fire. And like you said, they won this series with really Swerzer not really doing much, and Garcia got hurt. After that.
And both in the same game.
Yeah, I mean, you got to tip your hat that, man. A double whammy, and they close out the series in 5. So that's that's 2 of their top players.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, okay, what are we going to do now? You got your 2 best players on. This could be big trouble. Little did we know they had some other things they did, and they got the job done. Thank goodness.
Yeah, I mean, you're right.
I'm not a big fan of baseball dragging into November. I mean, at some point, you have to end the season. I mean, you build all these extra rounds in just to give teams more of a chance, but still at the same time, with getting colder and everything, I don't think it's fair to the players or the fans. So at some point, you got to end it before all this stuff gets in. Then I don't think extending into like this wild card series of 2 or 3, and then a divisional series, like that, going to 3 or 5, and who knows, trying to make that maybe 4 or 7. That's pushing it a bit, because then you're dragging it all into mid-November. It gets cold and everything. No, I'm not a fan of November baseball.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I didn't have a problem with it as much just this year, only because both teams played in pretty much in a warm territory. You understand? The Diamondbacks as well as Texas. And they both, the weather wasn't a factor. But you're right. If you play in one of the colder states, it's going to be a factor. I agree with you on that. This year it didn't bother me as much just because the teams were in very good location with weather.
Well, it's getting cold now.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing in one of the, Pennsylvania, like you said, New York, one of the colder states, Boston, then it really, really drags out. But the fact that the World Series were between. Yep. Yeah,
but actually, in Texas, it's getting cold now, and I heard if they was going to play a 6th and 7th, they were going to have electric blankets and 3 long johns night at the stadium. So, Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, definitely this year, that's the only thing. This year.
You can't extend the seat into Thanksgiving and Christmas. You can't do it.
Hey, Derek Jeter won't have a problem with it, Mr. November.
No, but the commissioner's an idiot.
Yeah, the commissioner is kind of weird to me. You know what I mean? Like, even when he gives out the award ceremony,
really?
he just too serious and stiff. Even when he's giving out the awards, like, come on, man, lighten up a bit. It just he's very poor with reading the room. That's the thing with him. You know?
He's not very well liked either. Then again, what commissioner is? I mean, nobody likes the NFL commissioner. I don't like Gary Bettman. I think. Well, I'll leave it at that. But you get the idea.
Yeah, I mean, definitely rest in peace to Stern, Commissioner Stern. I think he was probably the only one people really enjoyed.
Oh, yeah.
May he rest in peace.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I definitely. What do you think? Your thoughts on the Major League Baseball panel, Derek Jeter and crew?
Well, I don't think I should. But what do you mean by with Jeter on the panel?
Like when he's reporting the news on Fox.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on how you think he's doing? Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Like, being that this guy was a party animal in his day, I thought he would have more personality. I agree with you. He's kind of dry, real dry.
Well, that's what happens when you do all that partying and you lose it.
I know, but man, I mean, Alex got personality.
There was a commercial about that many years ago with Steinbrenner confronting him about his ways. Derek, how can you afford to spend $219 in a treehouse crowd with your friends? And then he shows him the platinum card. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just think that he needs.
He's not from New York, you wouldn't know, but
Yeah, I saw that commercial and it was really cool. And
oh, you did?
I just feel as if he just seemed like he doesn't fit in with the group, and
no,
that's the thing where it looks awkward. It's just like you have three guys that are living life, and you're like the stick in the mud. You understand what I'm saying? You're like the guy who just comes to the party, who just like brings the whole group down. That's how he's looking.
Yeah. Well, not back in the early days, but now he's, with short and almost 50, I guess you can say he's mellowed out.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see if they want to keep him around because it's just it's looking more and more glaring. But we'll see. But yeah, it's definitely a lot of things going on in sports, and I know there's a lot of things going on this weekend for you on the Enhanced Sports Show. I apologize I didn't make it last week, but tell everybody what they can expect this weekend. Very simple. We're going to have a World Series recap, of course. We'll also, of course, take your NFL and college football predictions. Also included in that, the NFL free trade deadline passed on Monday, so we're going to recap that. But I don't think we're going to be able to cover every single trade. We won't have time to do that. Otherwise, we'll be here until New Year's. So we'll do as best we can. I also want to take thoughts on the college football playoff poll because there seems to be a bit of a controversy between number one and number two, at least as far as I'm concerned. So I want to get everybody's thoughts on that, especially you college football guys like me. Also, of course, NBA and NHL news going on. Also, WWE, UFC. We'll try to cover some Breeders' coverage because that's the big racing day tomorrow. And the last week of the NASCAR season as well. And, of course, we've got our regular features, This Week in History, Sports Trivia, the Feel Good Story of the Week, and the Ridiculous Sign of the Week. And we'll also have the monthly schedule of sports events and the standings as well. So if you got time tomorrow between 4 and 6 p.m. Eastern Time, the number is 512-543-4662. I'll repeat it again, 512-543-4662. 4 o'clock in the East, 3 o'clock Central, 1 o'clock in the West Coast, and 9 o'clock in, I think 11 o'clock in Bora Bora, or somewhere around that. Oh, boy. Okay. Yep, that's right.
So we do reach all over. We do reach all over the place, you know.
You sure do, and definitely make sure you guys support Lou at 512-543-4662, 512-543-4662. The Enhanced Sports Show. That's tomorrow between 4 and 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Zone. And I will definitely be calling in. I apologize, Lou. I didn't get a chance to call in last weekend, but I will be calling in this weekend. I'm excited to talk to you tomorrow, in fact.
Good, because last week was not one of my best weeks.
Well, we're gonna turn it around. We're gonna turn it around.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on this.
The parade coverage too, maybe.
And folks, the reason why I wasn't able to call my great friend Lou was, which I'm going to talk about later in this show, was the boxing fight with Fury and Ngannou was happening at that time, all the way from Saudi Arabia. I'm going to recap that entire event, and I'll give you my thoughts on it.
Over there anyway?
Say again?
What's the time difference over there anyway? I forget.
That's a good question. It was like around nighttime, their time, and
yeah.
And folks, I'm going to tell you, they had like a big show after the fights before the main event. It literally was almost an hour. So I'm going to talk more about that later in the show. But that was the thing that I did not expect, and that's the only reason why I didn't call in to Lou. I got lost track of time, and then boom, I looked up. It was 6:02, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe I missed the show." I put a comment on the YouTube thing. I apologize, but I did not.
I saw it, but thank you.
Yeah, I did not expect an hour gap in a show between the last fight and the main event, and I'll talk more about that.
To be honest, that is very common because they do take breaks in between the minor bouts and then up to the big fight. So that's not unusual at all.
Yeah, I mean the show was spectacular.
That's not unusual. They don't go straight through. I mean, they got to catch everybody's breath and whatnot. So I get it. I mean, because I've seen it, with the pay-per-view fights. First they start with the minor cards and whatnot, then they wait about an hour and a half, or sometimes depending when they get out of the locker room and get to the ring. So yeah, that's not unusual at all. I mean, that's unusual at the start time for this.
Yeah, I mean that show was spectacular. It's just I was just blown away by the length of time.
Yeah, and I missed it. Dang it.
But yeah, so definitely.
Oh, reminder, folks! Don't forget to set your clocks 1 hour back tomorrow before you go to sleep. Otherwise, you're going to be you're going to be open off on Sunday.
Yeah, thanks for that. I appreciate that too, Lou. But I will be calling in.
Great.
I'm looking forward to it. I appreciate you all the time, Lou.
More the merrier.
You got it. We're gonna turn it around for you this weekend.
But remember, folks, there's no show on the 25th. A, because it's Thanksgiving weekend, and 2, it's a special event with my family. I'll explain more as we get closer to it.
Yes, and that will hold true for us as well. There will not be any Black Friday special Alan Alfred show on the 24th. There will not be a Black Friday special.
Black Wednesday? Yeah, never mind.
We'll talk more about that later in the week, though. Not in the week, in the next coming weeks, I should say.
Right, of course.
But yeah, I definitely appreciate you, Lou.
All right, Alan. Thanks a lot. I hope to get more tomorrow. Remember, it's 4 to 6 Eastern Time, not 4 to 6 Central.
4 to 6 Eastern Standard Time Zone. That's right, folks. Make sure you support Lou on the Enhanced Sports Show and check him out on YouTube, too, the Enhanced Sports Show.
Good night, America.
You got it. Good night, Lou. Take care. That's a great supporter, Lou, from the Enhanced Sports Show. Really appreciate him. Definitely a great guy and lots to discuss. And definitely appreciate Lou. He's definitely the man. So make sure you guys support Lou and his Enhanced Sports Show. And since we have breaking news, let me go ahead and do that first. We're going to go ahead and talk about the breaking news, and then we're going to talk about the rest of the show. If you see the show description on your YouTube channel or you see it there on Blog Talk, let me go ahead and give you the breaking news. Yes, and the breaking news is in the USFL XFL arena, and that is, I've gotten a very serious report today, and this is now being confirmed, and as well as this news, it's breaking news because of the fact that it is actually, I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. What I said when I broke this news on the XFL Insider podcast show was that there was going to be 3 teams removed from the XFL side, 3 teams removed from the USFL side, and today we got news that it's holding true, and that's where it's being reported. Okay, so let me read this report. Early this week, we were hearing that both leagues would bring 5 teams into the new venture, 10 teams total, just like I mentioned. Also, we are expected to begin in February, mirroring the XFL schedule, and we've heard a spiral draft that will take place before Thanksgiving by Thursday. However, we were reporting that the league's officials would meet next week to discuss final details with a planned announcement November 13th. Also this week, we touched on recruiting buzz for Michigan's J.J. McCarthy, Ohio State's Marvin Harrison Jr., and other standouts from Illinois, Iowa State, Connecticut, and more. Make sure everything we've heard in weeks post, as well as everything we posted in the last 10 days. So yes, this report is coming out, and let me give you more information on it. Basically, this report is confirming what I was saying from the original report. It was contradicting the original report that I heard. And basically, the original report that I heard was saying that there was going to be 8 USFL teams. So nothing was going to be removed from the USFL side is what was originally reported a week or so before I reported my report. And also there was going to be only 4 teams from the XFL that was going to survive. So basically it was going to be a USFL takeover, what was originally reported. 8 teams from USFL, only 4 teams from the XFL side, which was basically not going to even be a merger. It was going to be more like a USFL takeover. That was the James Larson report. About a week or so after then, I went on the XFL Insider podcast show and reported that no, there was going to be 3 teams being removed from the XFL side and 3 teams being removed from the USFL side, more in line of what a merger is versus a takeover. The other version was more like a takeover. And I know a lot of the USFL fans were hoping that original report was true, but from what I heard from a very good source, it was going to be 3 teams removed from the XFL, 3 teams removed from the USFL. And a lot of people did not kind of like agree with me because it went against the James Larson report that was reported about a week prior to mine. But I stood firm in what I heard from a very, very reliable source. The James Larson report, I wouldn't say was totally off. I did think, based on a report that I got, that yes, there was going to be teams removed. I did think that, but I didn't think it was going to be one-sided, where it was just going to be on the XFL side and nothing on the USFL side. To me, that didn't make sense because, look, when I first interviewed Danny Garcia during the first press conference that they had at the Orlando Camping World Stadium, I was the first actually media person to get to her as far as people who report from the XFL. The news interviewed her and all of that, but the people who are more like XFL insiders, I was the first one who asked her. And I basically asked her, you could even listen to that interview and watch it on YouTube, hey, there's a lot of people, there was 3 people that called on my show on different occasions that was very skeptical, extremely skeptical of the XFL working a third time around. And she looked at me dead in the eye and said, hey, I can understand, now I'm paraphrasing, that people are skeptical, but hey, you're going to carry that burden for 3 to 5 years. It's okay that they're skeptical, but we're in it basically to go ahead and persevere. And she even said it's going to be 3 to 5 years you might carry that burden. So a year later, after the first year, you're basically going to lay up to the USFL, which I think the league, to be real with you, and this is my opinion now, I think the XFL, to me, is a more superior product. I'm not saying that to diss the USFL, but hey, there is no hubs. The XFL did really well in the first year. Yes, they lost money, but almost any business that starts off is going to lose money the first year or two. That's just how business is. You don't make money the first year you open your doors. That's just any business. Usually it takes, just like he said, 3 to 5 years. And I felt as if there was a lot of positives that happened after the first year. This is the first time a full season was completed as far as, the support, the championship. I mean, I know that Vince did it or what have you, but I just felt like this time around it was just a very, very good vibe overall from the people that were supporting the XFL. And I never thought for a moment that I would believe that, fast forward a year later, not even a year later, but fast forwarding, to the next season, that after they announced that year 2 is coming, that they would just forfeit 4 of the teams and join the USFL. Could that happen? Yes, but I just didn't think that's how Danny Garcia and The Rock came across to me. Throughout the year, I felt like they were in it to win it. They knew it was going to be a long-term process, and then just for you to kind of lay up to the USFL, it just didn't make sense to me. When I heard the report from a very solid source that it was going to be 3 teams removed from the XFL, 3 teams removed from the USFL, I always believed that source was more accurate because that is more in tune to what a merger is. You kind of take off some of the teams that, and I'm one who doesn't like teams to be removed. Let me just be real with you. But you kind of have to take, when any merger, there's going to be a give and take. And you kind of take the 3 teams that you feel as if is the weaker links, or for some reason, maybe underlying factors, the 3 teams that you feel as if it's going to be removed on your side, and 3 teams that will be removed on the other person's side, and you kind of go from there. So another thing that I love about the XFL was the fact that they start right after the NFL. If you're a big football fan, the biggest lull is right after the Super Bowl is done. Because right after the Super Bowl is done, guess what? There's no more football unless, you wait. There is no more professional sports type football. Yes, it's college and all of that, but if you're a real true football fan, the great thing about the XFL is it starts right after the NFL season ends. There is no 2.5 month gap till April. And starting in April, May, and June, those months are so hot. If you're going to be playing in Florida or you're going to be playing, in other places, because you got summertime. I feel like February start is better. So I do believe that this source is correct because it's confirming exactly what I said. It contradicted the report I came out with. Again, contradicted not everything, because James Larson did say that there was going to be teams removed. My report did confirm there's going to be teams removed, but not 4 from the XFL, none from the USFL. My report said 3 and 3. 3 teams removed from the XFL, 3 teams removed from the USFL, and that is basically what is coming in line of what's being reported. And they're saying that the date that they're going to announce this is November 13th. They're basically figuring out some new details, but I definitely do feel confident saying that this is what it sounds like it's going to be. Not only that, I feel like this is what is more than likely going to happen. Do I feel bad that some markets will lose teams? Yes. 3 teams that I feel the XFL. Now, this part is my opinion because, the source did not tell me the 3 teams from the XFL or the 3 teams from the USFL will be removed, but the 3 teams that, and I've said this before several times, the 3 teams that I feel are in peril of losing their teams, are the Roughnecks. And let me break it down for you. The reason why I say the Roughnecks is not because they deserve for their team to be lost, and that's the team that my good friend Matthew Tyler from the XFL podcast covers for media is the Roughnecks. And, I have a lot of ties from the Roughnecks. But the reason why the Roughnecks are in peril is because of two major reasons. Number one, you have the Houston Gamblers, the USFL team that has a little bit more history than Roughnecks. Number two, the Roughnecks, unfortunately, are changing their stadium. They don't have a home right now, and it hasn't been reported that a new home has been reported. So that right there puts you at risk, high risk. The Vegas Vipers, the major flaws with them is, number one, they don't have a team. They don't have a field either. They were going to change to another field. They have not been reported a new field now November. And that's number one. And number two, it's no secret that Vegas was one of the weaker as far as attendance. The third team I feel as if is in peril, and again, this is my opinion, but is the Seattle Sea Dragons. The reason why the Seattle Sea Dragons is logistically they're just so far away. They're all the way out on the West Coast. Even Coach Haslett said that in a press conference that I sat in, that, hey, coming from Seattle is tough. And the crazy thing about it was that was going to be my first question to ask him about the travel. And I said, let me go with my second question first. And it wasn't about the travel. And then somebody asked him about the travel, the next question, and he was like, good question. I was like, man, I should have just asked the question that was on my mind first. But I didn't. So props to the person who did ask, because he did say, yeah, it is kind of far to come out from the West Coast to play. And that's the coach saying it. So logistically, that's where the Seattle Sea Dragons is. So, and again, the reason why I don't think the Orlando Guardians are at risk is because of two major factors. Number one, Dany Garcia lives in Orlando. She loves Orlando. If you get rid of the team that you're living in, she's basically in the same position I am. If you get rid of the Orlando Guardians, which I don't think is going to happen, but the thing about it is, then me, person who covers the XFL, that's going to be kind of hard for me. I mean, that will be hard for her too. Like, you have to travel a good amount to get to to watch a game. So that's going to be one. And number two, the Guardians have an outstanding relationship with Camping World Stadium. If you literally go to the Twitter and you go to type in Camping World, you just go ahead and type in Camping World. I'm going to do that right now with you. Type in Camping World Stadium. Okay. What does it say in the description? Home of the XFL Guardians. That's first. Cheez-It, Citrus Bowl, and Pop-Tarts Bowl. So the first thing they're listing is the home of the XFL Guardians. They have a great connection, the Camping World Stadium and the Orlando Guardians. So they have a home that they're very good and very cool to play in. Now the season ticket holders get to be on the shady side of the field. Last year they had them on the sunny side, which I don't know why they did that. But this year they're making adjustments the second year around, and they're putting all of the fans in the shady side. So the fact that you have a home and you have a very good partnership with Camping World, the fact that Dany Garcia, who is one of the owners, lives in Orlando, that gives the Orlando Guardians a lot of huge saving grace. Did they perform great as far as attendance? Not as much, but this is year two, and now people who are part of the Guardians, I can assure you, are going to come out even stronger to support. So, yes, I believe this is what it's going to be, So that's the breaking news, that the merger talks. And as far as ownership of the teams, I don't want to speculate on that just yet, just because I do believe The Rock and Dany are still going to be a big part of this, and Redbird Capital. I just got to see how the USFL side is going to work. But this is more in line of what I reported. And also, as a person who covers the XFL, this is much better news. Instead of a USFL takeover, it seemed like it's going to be more of a merger. And it seemed like they're taking more of the things that the XFL did really well. The fact that, they're starting in February, that's a positive. They're, basically taking the three teams that they feel as if there might be difficulty with promoting the league more. And same thing with the USFL. This seems more like a merger to me. As far as the players, someone had asked that. I think the league is going to be even more competitive and even better now because now you have an overabundant excess of players. You have the players that are from the XFL last year. You have the players from the USFL. Then if you're cutting off three teams from each side, that's six teams. That's six additional teams of players that you have excess. Then the XFL did these drafts and showcase throughout the year. They saw a lot of great talent. It is going to be ginormous. I mean, it just an exorbitant amount of competition and excellence. Not that they didn't have excellent players before, but man, if you make one of these teams on the merger team and you're a player and you're a starter, you need to kiss the ground you're walking on because, man, you got blessed. This is highly competitive football, man. And it was ultra competitive before. This is ridiculous because you got six extra teams. So you basically, by doing this, you gained 2, but you lost 6. And then you had all those great players that you got that had committed, players from last year, players you saw at the draft and the showcase. I'm telling you guys, if you make it, you got to take advantage of that opportunity. I know that they're going to have the training camps open where people can see it, including media, which is great because last year they did not have it available for people like myself to see. Another thing is they are going to have bigger starting rosters, meaning, where they're starting at will be a greater number than the year before. So it is going to be ultra competitive. Overall, I do, as I mentioned on the XFL Insider podcast interview, I do feel as if overall this move is better for the league. Unfortunately, when you do business and you do a merger, there is going to be a give and take, and there is going to be some casualties. Unfortunately, those casualties will be those teams and markets that are going to lose their teams. I did not disagree with James Larson as far as teams being lost. I just disagreed with the proportion and where they're going to be lost at. But overall, the report is leaning to what I mentioned on the XFL Insider podcast. So I'll keep you guys up to date on what's going on. I felt as if the news was going to be reported next week. We find out it's going to be the 13th. So that was new. But yeah, a lot of things going on. And since we're talking about football, I'm going to go ahead and get you guys up to date on NFL news. I'm going to go ahead and go over that with you. We're going to talk some NFL news. We're going to talk Colorado losing to UCLA, having jewelry stolen. LeBron sets another record. And I'm going to break down the Ngannou Fury fight in Saudi Arabia. Amanda Serrano, her history-breaking fight, a lot more on the Alan Alfred Sports Talk Show. Again, the number you can use to chime in is 516-418-5572. 516-418-5572. We're going to take a little quick break, play a Sam Scola song. We're going to do that now. When I come right back, we're going to go ahead and talk NFL football, give you my predictions. Is there a concern for the Kansas City Chiefs? Is Travis Kelce indeed the best tight end illegal play? How should the league manage this situation? And was Tyrek Hill or A.J. Brown's touchdown catch, which one was more impressive? I'll break that all down right after the break. But we're going to go ahead and hear the sports theme song by Sam Scola. If you guys need an award-winning musician, please reach out to me because all of these fantastic songs by Sam Scola are written and produced by Sam Scola out of Maine. Really appreciate Sam Scola and his beautiful wife, Mary. So we're going to hear the sports theme song by Sam Scola. We'll hear that for a few moments, get you in the mood for some more football, and we're going to continue on the Alan Alfred Sports Talk Show We're going to take a quick break. Be right back. That's the Sam Scola sports theme song by Sam Scola. Really appreciate you. Definitely reach out to me if you want to sign Sam Scola. And I did want to touch on a couple things. Okay, I wanted to answer those questions before you talk into football. The World Series, did the Texas Rangers, were they the best team? Yes, they were. They were the better team. You know, I picked the Diamondbacks to actually win the series, and it's the Texas Rangers bats were just too hot. Corey Seager was just on fire, got the MVP, first player to get it for two different teams. I mean, that's just outstanding. The turning point of the series was Game 4 Game 3, and that's when the Diamondbacks didn't close out the deal. You're up by 2 runs in the bottom of the ninth. You got to close the deal, and they did not. And I felt like that was going to be a turning point in the series. I didn't think the series was over, but definitely that was a big, big loss for them to go up 2-1. And yeah, Game 3 was a turning point. And I did want to share my thoughts on Diamondbacks third baseman Evan Longoria. For those who don't know, Evan Longoria started his rookie year and played a long time for the Tampa Bay Rays, third base. And unfortunately, this ironic is that Evan Longoria lost in 5 games when he played the World Series with the Rays, and unfortunately with the Diamondbacks, he lost in 5 games too. So he's 0-2, unfortunately, in World Series. But I did want to give him his props because Evan Longoria has a statue in front of the Rays Stadium. I have actually not seen it yet because I went to a game like a week or 2 before it was unveiled. So I'm going to come out there and take some pictures of it, go out here and show you guys it. But that is awesome that Evan Longoria is getting recognized. He is a huge Tampa Bay Rays fan and favorite. I know the Tampa Bay Rays is still in his heart. So big props to Evan Longoria representing all the way from Tampa. Congratulations to former Tampa Bay third baseman Evan Longoria. I know he didn't get a ring, but big props to Evan Longoria. So let's talk some football. Is there concern for the Kansas City Chiefs? Yes, there is. Unfortunately, Patrick Mahomes is not looking like Patrick Mahomes this year. I mean, the only way it's not a concern is if they have, Taylor Swift at every game, because it is a fact that when she's there, they play better. I mean, he still has been turning the ball over a lot this year. It's becoming more of a theme for him. He's pressing a bit. He's making ill-advised throws. Not only that, he's telegraphing his throws.
So, yeah, definitely there is some concerns there for the Chiefs. And, you know, yeah. And is Travis Kelce the best tight end ever? I definitely think Travis Kelce can be the best tight end ever, but I don't believe he is the best tight end ever as of now. I still feel as if that position is locked for Gronkowski. Rob Gronkowski, to me, is the GOAT of tight ends ever. And there has been some fantastic tight ends, players, Hall of Famers. I just feel as if Gronk is just a cut above them. I mean, the guy has had mega success at such a young age. And not only that, he's missed a lot of time because of injuries. I mean, when he catches the ball, he's so big and people just line him up and hit him hard, but he keeps coming back. If you need to throw a ball to somebody who's going to make a play when you need it to win a game, Tom Brady will even tell you that's a shorthanded receiver. I mean, people talk about Travis Kelce and Mahomes. When you're a quarterback and you're throwing a ball to someone and you know that person will give every single effort to catch the ball, you're going to keep feeding them. And Gronkowski, to me, Rob Gronkowski is the best tight end ever. I think Travis Kelce has a chance to catch him and surpass him. He's on track for that, but he's not there yet. I definitely do think Gronk is right now the best tight end ever, but Travis Kelce is moving up the ladder. I'll put it like that. Is the Tush Push a legal play? I say this with all due respect, and I know it's been successful, but the Tush Push to me is a Bush League play. It might be legal, but it's a Bush League play. And let me explain to you why I say that. Okay, you have the highest paid quarterback. You have A.J. Brown. You have a Heisman Award winner. You have Kelce at center. And you're going to do a play like the Tush Push to get a yard. I mean, where's the creativity in that? You're doing basically a rugby play. And it's getting you a yard. And yes, you may have practiced it more than more teams. And it's been successful. But to me, it's a Bush League play. Because look, if you look at the play, guys are lined up below the defender's knees. It is a dangerous play, to my opinion. It is very dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you're lined up below someone's knees and you're leaning forward with 900 pounds of force and somebody who can bench press over 500 pounds. You know, I don't have that exact, but you get the point, over 500 pounds. And you're pushing him from behind too. That's just unfair play to me. Like, it's too much weight, too much force, below someone's knees. That's where you're lined up. I don't think it's a fair play. I think it's just an injury waiting to happen. You're supposed to be a dynamic offense. You went all the way to the Super Bowl. You could come up with something better than the Tush Push, in my opinion. And to rely on a Tush Push is like a Bush League play. I could get it if you did it once, twice, maybe three times, but you're doing it every 3rd and 1, almost every 4th and 1. Yes, I understand this last game you changed it up a little bit, but look how long you've been doing it. It's a dangerous play. It's not, to me, it should be outlawed. That's just, and I'm not hating on the play. It's just that it's dangerous. I'm a guy that's pro player, and to me, that's a dangerous play. And it's just a matter of time before, unfortunately, somebody gets hurt. I hope it does not. I hope I'm wrong, but come on, man. You're lining up below someone's knees, real low. So what the league should do to manage the situation is they can't really do anything this season, but I do suspect next year it's going to be outlawed, and deservingly so. Yes, so I do think it is a play that should be outlawed. Was Tyrek Hill or A.J. Brown's touchdown, which one was more impressive? To me, it's not really even definitely Tyrek Hill is just like, he's just so fast and unbelievable. But I definitely think A.J. Brown's catch was more impressive. For you to catch a ball one-handed, get your feet in the corner, I mean, that just shows you why you don't need to do a Tush Push. do something more creative. I know it's going to be probably more difficult, but I mean, you got A.J. Brown out there. You got Devontae Smith, a Heisman Award winner. I mean, to me, that catch that A.J. Brown made and versus Commanders was just a thing of beauty. Tyrek Hill's was fantastic too, but A.J.'s was on another level. So now we're going to break down Week 9, and I did get the Steelers right. I did predict the Steelers were going to beat the Titans, and sure enough, they did. But we've got a lot more. The first game is, after this Thursday, the first weekend game is actually going to be all the way in Germany. So we have the Dolphins against the Chiefs. And I think the Dolphins are going to win this game. I just think the Chiefs are going to do better, but I just think the Dolphins have a little bit too many weapons. The Chiefs are definitely a question mark with turnovers. And I think I got the Dolphins winning. The Vikings against the Falcons. It's going to be tough. But I just think the Falcons are going to win this game. I normally wouldn't pick the Falcons over the Vikings, but I just feel with Kirk Cousins out, it's going to be a lot to deal with that quick of a turnaround and beat a team that can run the ball pretty good. The Falcons, Saints, and Bears. I have I have the Saints winning this one. I just think that the Bears, unfortunately, are reeling. I have the Packers and the Rams. I got the Rams winning this game. Commanders and the Patriots. I got the Commanders winning. Ravens and Seahawks. It's gonna be a very good game. I got the Ravens winning. Bucks and Texans. I got the Bucks winning. Browns and Cardinals. I got the Browns winning. We have the Colts and the Panthers. I have the Colts winning that game too. Giants and the Raiders. Yeah, there's a lot of big shakeup there in Oakland, to say the least. But I'm going to pick the Giants to win. We have the Cowboys and the Eagles. I have the Eagles winning. Bills and the Bengals. That's going to be a very, very good game. I have the Bengals winning. And we have the Chargers versus the Jets. I have the Chargers winning. So it's going to be a great weekend of football, Week 9. A lot of great things. And then we got the Colorado losing to UCLA and having jewelry stolen. So let me give you my thoughts on this game with UCLA. Unfortunately, this is a situation where you just can't, when you're building a team, you unfortunately cannot just think about the quarterback, the wide receiver, the corners. You got to think about the offensive line. And the offensive line was like grated cheese. They were just giving holes. They just couldn't hold. they couldn't hold anybody. And that made it such a difficult time for Shedeur Sanders. And it made it tougher to run the ball, pass the ball, everything. It just fell apart for them. You could just tell. They said, just rush the passer. Now, the more serious thing is the jewelry was stolen from, I heard from both sides, not just from the Colorado, who was responsible and how to avoid this situation happening again. Let me say first and foremost, and this I've told, and I've said this before to my son, we've had this conversation before. When it comes to playing sports, I would say it again and again and again. There is no reason for you to be wearing chains in a football game. It's just, there is no reason. Okay? That's like just having kind of like a thug type mentality. Like you just want to look good for the camera, but to be real with you, that's not what football is about. That's not what baseball is about. When you wear a chain, it is dangerous. It is dangerous for you, especially in football, because you get tackled. Somebody could just reach and grab your chain by accident. You get choked. It's just a dangerous thing. Not only that, your jewelry is a high probability it's going to get damaged. Okay? Same thing in baseball and other sports. You should not be wearing chains. Okay? One thing you shouldn't be wearing necklaces and chains. It's just no. You should just not be doing that because it's a distraction to you. It's something that it's not safe. I mean, some of these guys, this is what happens when you're just trying to floss. You know what I'm saying? This is, you know what I'm saying? I don't mind people having fun, but you bring in expensive jewelry to games and put it in your locker, it's just not smart because then you're wearing it underneath your jersey. That's not what you're there for. You're there to compete at a high level. You're there to get drafted. You're there to get noticed, not because of the chains you're wearing, not because of the ice you have on your arm. It's because of your play. Okay? It's your play. All right? That's the thing. You got to stay focused on that. And that's how you avoid this situation happening again. Don't wear jewelry. I said this before this incident. It's not like I just said it as a reaction to this incident. I said this before. Me and my son have even said this. When we watch a game, we see somebody wearing chains, baseball or football, like, look at this person wearing a chain. That's not what you want to do. It's dangerous for you. You can get choked. Your jewelry could get damaged. Why do it? You're spending all this money on jewelry. Wear it when it's appropriate, when you're going out. And I don't like all this big fancy jewelry because, to be real with you, it makes you a target. And I'm not just speaking this from saying it. Hey, let me call for what it is. This is a fact. I had went the biggest retail purchase I made, which I regret. It's kind of like bittersweet. It's a long story, but to make a long story short, one of the biggest retail purchases I made was buying a diamond bezeled Rolex. So I'm not just saying this from someone who hasn't been there. Okay? The thing about that Rolex, it was beautiful, but I tell you, when I had it on my arm, I felt nervous. I felt nervous because it's a very expensive watch. People know it's an expensive watch. It was real. It wasn't fake. And you just felt, hey, I got some expensive jewelry on me. I could be putting myself out there to be a victim. And, coming from New York, it's a long story. I'll make a long story short. But, yeah, I unfortunately ran into some robbers before. And I felt like this is another situation where, I could be inviting the devil into my arena. And that's not what I want to do in life. It's just not worth doing that. And, my prayers go out to Mir Khan, who's a professional boxer. He went to his hometown and got robbed for his watch. So it's not just me. It happens. People see you wear expensive jewelry and do it. So now what I've learned from that lesson, there was a lot of lessons that I'll get into another day, another conversation. But one thing that I definitely learned from that was don't invite the devil to just don't. When I go to places, foreign countries, I don't wear any jewelry. I wear just a basic watch. I don't floss. I just want to be one of the people in the crowd. And I learned that from getting a Rolex. That, because not only did I feel uncomfortable wearing it because it was so nice and, with the robbery, but I felt uncomfortable wearing it because I didn't want to get it scratched. It was an expensive watch. I had it insured and everything, but it was more headaches than what it was worth. Okay? Leave the expensive jewelry at home. If you want to even go even more ambitious than that, don't even buy expensive jewelry. Look at Chad Ochocinco. That's the smartest thing to do. Wear fake jewelry. Don't even, but to be real with you, don't wear any jewelry at all because you don't want to put yourself and advertise to be a victim. You understand? Like if you wear fake jewelry, people might assume it's real and rob you for fake jewelry. You're saying, just don't do it. It's not worth it. You don't need that to make a great impression on people. And that's how you avoid it. Who's responsible? I doubt the NCAA is going to pay for this loss. I just don't see it. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think they're going to reimburse the fellas for it. So to avoid it, just don't wear expensive jewelry. It's not worth it. And I'll even say something else. Somebody made a comment that if you buy a Rolex, it's an investment. No, it's not. No, it's not. Okay? Let me explain to you that real quick. When you buy a Rolex, okay, even if you keep it in pristine condition, it still depreciates. The amount of money I paid for that watch a year or 2 or 3 years later, I couldn't get that same amount of money if I sold it, to anyone. If I sold it on eBay, if I sold it to a store and, for collateral, I wasn't going to get what I paid for it and then some and extra. It wasn't going to happen that way. You understand? If you have a Rolex watch that's an antique, it was hard to find, and you paid a good price for it, and you kept it for many, many years for great condition, maybe. But most watches, it's kind of like, buying a Bentley. You buy a Bentley, it depreciates real fast. Does it hold some value? Yes, it does. It does hold some value, but it doesn't hold the value when you first purchase it, because when you buy it 2, 3, 4 years down the road, there's maybe 4 or 5 different models past that model. You understand? So it's always, you have one that's good, but it's kind of like, it's new now. 6 months later, they have another version, and then another version, then another version, then another version. So your version was like, hey, man, that's 2 or 3 years ago, and now they got 6 different versions. So it doesn't hold its value. That's the point. It doesn't hold its value. And maybe if you have an older version that's hard to find, a rare version, of course, there's always going to be exceptions to every rule. But that is usually not going to be 95% of the case. Ask anybody who has a Bentley, ask anybody who has a Rolex that's not a rare and unique one, it depreciates. So let me just put that out there. LeBron sets another record in basketball, and he becomes the oldest player, playing. Let me make sure I quote this for you correct. Let me just make sure I do that for you guys, because I want to make sure I give LeBron James his props. And let me go ahead. This is awesome, man, because one thing you got to say about LeBron James, man. One thing you got to say about LeBron, I have to say this, folks, is that with LeBron James, he scores 35 points, are the most ever by any player in the 21st season. So that's remarkable. I mean, whether people love LeBron or they hate him, you can't deny this guy keeps himself in great shape, and to be doing it for 21 seasons, I mean, that is phenomenal. I mean, that's the thing. People might say it's a longevity awards with him getting the points, all-time points, whatever you want to say. The guy's been hanging in there. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. If you want to break some records, sometimes if you just stick around in the league, and it's not just sticking around in the league, he's being productive. Is he, not as young as the guy that came into the league? No, but we all age. But you know what? He's still very, very productive. 21st season, 35 points. I mean, no one has ever done it. So you got to give the guy props, in that regard. So congratulations, LeBron James, setting yet another record. And yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people have said this, and I've said this before. I still do think that Michael Jordan's the GOAT, but you know what? LeBron James is setting his own type of records and his own legacy. It's totally different than Michael Jordan's. So props to him. And there's a lot to discuss in boxing. I'm going to break down the Tyson Fury versus Ngannou fight. I actually took some notes during this fight. And let me first talk about the venue. I got to give Saudi Arabia a lot of credit, man. I got to give them, I mean, that was a beautiful venue, stage, the setup. I mean, I heard they did that in 3 days to have an hour-long show. They had Eminem there. I mean, it is outstanding and marvelous what they do in Saudi Arabia. So props to Saudi Arabia.
I don't know what they're doing to get some money, but that country got some money, and people in there got some money too, man. That was an outstanding venue. Yes, it did take me a bit off the fact that they had some great undercards, but after all the undercards were done, there was about like an hour-long show that they put between after the last fight to the main event. It was an hour like show, and it was just wow. It was just like a concert. It was just marvelous. I just felt as if the guys, they should have probably warmed up in the middle of the show just to make sure you're ready, because if you warmed up after that last undercard fight and then you had to wait that long, you would have definitely been cold. So I would say within the last 10 to 15, 20 minutes of the last act is when you should warm up. Having said that, I'm going to break this down for you. Tyson Fury, in my opinion, that was the absolute worst I have ever seen Tyson Fury look in a boxing ring. It was just unimaginable. I picked him to win the fight, and technically I wasn't wrong. He did win the fight, but let me go into that. Tyson Fury, these are all the notes I took during watching it. He had poor head movement, very poor. Fury looked very unorganized and uncomfortable. He didn't really use his jab. He not only did he not lose his jab, he looked out of shape. Like, I understand that he's not a light guy, but usually he was. That's what made him unique, is that he carried all his weight, but he had a lot of nimbleness to him, and his cardiovascular was very good. He looked really out of shape, and it was surprising. And I don't know if he took him for granted, Ngannou, but Fury did not look comfortable at all. And he didn't use a jab. To me, Ngannou looked like the better fighter the entire fight. He looked like the more experienced fighter. It was unbelievable. It was remarkable that he was an MMA fighter, and he didn't look like an MMA fighter at all. You know, Tyson Fury did a backhand, and he started lunging into him. He was doing techniques and kind of like Bush League type techniques that made it look like Fury was the MMA fighter. You know, sometimes when you're conditioned to fight some way for so long, those habits become hard to break. And sometimes, you know, you might do a little headbutt or backhand. Those things are good in MMA, or lunge forward to tackle someone. But in boxing, they don't fly. These are all tactics that Fury was doing. The work that Mike Tyson did with Ngannou really, really paid off, because Ngannou controlled the distance. He looked poised. And Ngannou did, in the sixth round, I did feel as if he did a hiccup. He was walking a bit into shots. He didn't have to. He was doing really good. He did seem to lose a little bit of stamina in the sixth round, but I had Ngannou winning the fight by 1 point. I really did. I thought it was a close fight, not because Tyson Fury did so great. It's just that, he threw some punches. They weren't really connecting, but I know that most judges would be like, oh, he threw some punches, but they were not effective. To me, the more effective puncher and boxer throughout the whole fight was Ngannou. And I had Ngannou winning by 1 point. Ngannou knocked him down in the third round. And I had Ngannou winning this fight by a point. That's what I did. This was a robbery. And not only that, there was a poll that was done. And out of the poll, 71% of the people felt Ngannou won. 17% felt it was a draw, and only 12% thought that Fury won the fight. And that's a poll that was not done by me. So worst case scenario, more people thought it was either a loss, complete loss by Fury, or worst case scenario draw. I had it a very close fight, but I had Ngannou winning this fight by a point. If Ngannou did not win the fight outright, I think the next step would have been a draw. Not that Fury won the fight. See, this is the reason why I said last week why it's hard for me to ever say boxing is the number one sport. The reason being is because I knew, and even Ngannou knew, and a lot of the boxing fans that are not, casual fans that are, more into the fight world and boxing, we all knew
that Fury was going to win the fight if it went to a decision. Even Ngannou knew. And this is his first fight with a heavyweight. And the reason being because this is what boxing does. If you are the champion, you have to almost basically make it without a shadow of a doubt, you won the fight clear, crystal clear. You have to do a la almost like what Bud Crawford did to Errol Spence. And if that fight, let's say hypothetically, that fight went to the scorecards, even with Bud Crawford annihilating Errol Spence, I still think there will be something shady happening when it goes to the scorecard. Because that's what happened with boxing all the time. It's so corrupt. To me, I knew that when it went to the scorecards that Ngannou was not going to win the fight. You understand? I might as well just turned it off and just said, all right, Fury won, that's it. And guess what happened? They gave the fight to Fury. You understand? It did not surprise me at all. And that's where boxing struggles. Like, if I could predict the outcome, you all the time, there's something you're doing that's not right. Because, again, he was a champion. Another thing that would mess things up is that, Fury has a fight. He already had a fight in line with someone else, with Usyk. So if you give it to Ngannou, that messes things up a bit. Because now Usyk may say, like, I'm not fighting anymore, Fury. I want to fight the guy who has all the belts. Who has the belts, I should say. So this is the reason why boxing struggles in my view. You understand? It's just that robbery on top of robbery. And this is like, it's a recurring theme. You know what I mean? Every week, like every time. What fight are you guys watching? Really? Ngannou won this fight by a point. Did Fury throw more punches? Yeah, he threw more punches, but they were not effective. And a lot of those punches didn't connect. To me, it was clear and obvious who the more effective puncher was. And Fury knocked him down. Fury never knocked down Ngannou. Not only did he not knock him down, he never got him hurt in this fight. If you look at Ngannou the day after the fight, it's clear. I mean, that's what's frustrating as a boxing fan. And you see this over and over and over and over and over and over. Did I say over? You see this all the time. This is what I think boxing needs. Number one, they need to do a major overhaul with the referees. With the judges. That's first and foremost. Number two, you need to have a playoff system here. You need to have it where guys have to fight better competition. There is no ducking and dodging. I want to fight you because you are a bigger draw. I want to fight you because I'll make more money. I want to fight you. And when we do fight each other, guess what? We're going to pay off somebody so that you don't lose your belt. We're going to make it close to make it entertaining, but we're not going to give you the belt unless it's a slam dunk, unless it's like a Stevie Wonder could tell that you won the fight. And even then, like I said, as phenomenal as Terrence Bud Crawford did against Errol Spence, let's say that fight went to the judges, I still would be skeptical as far as them judging the fight right. That's just how bad it is. Having said that, props to Ngannou for, man, that was very impressive, and you don't have nothing to feel bad about. 88% of the people who watched that fight thought you either won the fight, 71% thought you flat out won the fight, and 17% said worst case scenario should have been a draw. Only 12% said Fury won. So either 88% of us are incorrect or something is wrong, but props to Ngannou for doing an outstanding job. And another great thing about that is that, they're talking about Ngannou fighting Deontay Wilder or fighting AJ. I don't really like Ngannou's chance against those type of fighters, against Wilder and AJ. And the reason why I don't like the chance against those guys over Fury, it's not that I still think Fury is the number one heavyweight. Let me just make that clear. However, those two guys' style are very different. than Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is more of a technical type boxer, and he's very savvy and slick. He gets out the way and hits you, but he's not an overpowering type puncher. I feel as if Deontay Wilder and AJ could pose problems with Ngannou because of their power, And I just think, styles make fights. I just think those type of guys and their power would create some difficulty with Ngannou. If you get hit by one of Wilder's shots or AJ's, it can be lights out. You know what I mean? I just felt as if the way Ngannou's style was going to be much more effective with a guy like Fury, especially how kind of sloppy Fury looked. But I just feel as if against Deontay Wilder and I feel against AJ, he's going to struggle against those type of guys just because of the difference in athleticism and the difference in power. Those two things are going to be a big, big thing. So, nonetheless, still a fantastic performance. And with Amanda Serrano, she wins in a historic fight, winning in a 3-minute round fight. So props to her. Congratulations to her, Amanda Serrano. Amanda Serrano. And so, I'm glad that they went to 3 minutes rounds because I interviewed Sinisa Superbad Estrada, and she even said she prefers the 3-minute rounds. I've been hearing that from a lot of the women boxers. They prefer to have the 3-minute rounds so they get what they wanted, and I kind of hope it sticks around. 3-minute round, they say it should be more exciting, which has already been very exciting for women's boxing over the last few years. They're making a big, big rise, so props for them at least making some changes to make the sport even better. Still think boxing has a ways to go. So I will keep you up to date on that. A lot of great things happening here with the Allen Alfred Sports Talk Show. I definitely want to thank you guys for all your support. Want to thank our wonderful sponsor, Chef G's Florida Barbecue Sauce. So delicious and addicting, you may need a support group. So don't forget to check out Chef G's at 301 South 22nd Street, right there in Tampa, Florida. Or you can get one of the 4 fantastic flavors or some Florida Sand, Red Brick, all at FLBBQSauce.com, FLBBQSauce.com. The sauces are Honey Mustard, Fusion, Heat Wave, and Classic. So definitely check them all out. And we're going to play the Chef G's Florida Barbecue Sauce song by Sam Scola, folks. Chef G's Florida Barbecue Sauce song by Sam Scola.
Comes in full variety, Chef G's Florida Barbecue Sauce, a natural flavor. Chef G's Florida Barbecue Sauce, Florida Gold Honey Mustard on burgers and ribs, tasty fusion on pork and sausage, a classic taste for chicken steak tips, a hot heat wave on meatballs and ham. It's a cookout treat. Chef G's Florida Barbecue Sauce, serve on fish and vegetables. Chef G's Florida Barbecue Sauce, Chef G's Florida Barbecue Sauce, Chef G's Florida Barbecue Sauce.
Florida barbecue sauce. So delicious and addicting, you may need a support group. So definitely appreciate Sam Scola with that fantastic song. Definitely appreciate Mary, beautiful wife, for doing such a great job, producing such a wonderful song. Again, if you want to reach out to me to get in contact with Sam Scola,
feel free to do so at any time. Really appreciate all of you with the great comments, likes, shares, the support of the Alan Alfred Sports Talk Show. Really appreciate Lou calling in. Really appreciate you guys listening to another great episode of the Alan Alfred Sports Talk Show. A lot more great things happening. I'm going to keep you posted, so make sure you follow us on Facebook at Alan Alfred Sports Talk Show, or you can follow me on Instagram at Alan Alfred, and please subscribe on YouTube, Alan Alfred. You can just, as long as you know how to spell that name, you're in great shape. AlanAlford. So appreciate you guys. We're going to be back again next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Friday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Zone, 8:30 p.m. Central Time, and 6:30 Pacific. So, going to be right here on another great episode of the Alan Alfred Sports Talk Show. Save the number for next week, 516-418-5572, 516-418-5572. Going to end the show with another great Sam Scola song. Thank you again, Lou. Thank you again, all of you, for listening. You have a great night, great weekend. Be blessed, be well. And until we meet again, take care for now.
It's the end of the Sports Talk Show. Let's thank all the fans before we go. It's the end of the Sports Talk Show. The Alan Alford Sports Talk Show. Thank our special guest. Thanking our sponsor. It's the end of the Sports Talk Show. Tune in again for next week's show. It's the end of the Sports Talk Show. Thanking our host before we go. It's the end of the Sports Talk Show. It's the end of the Sports Talk Show.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.